Book 1, Chapter 1. Ere my beard had become a soft down upon my chin, I entered the gates of the temple to begin my novitiate in the order of the priesthood. My parents were shepherds outside the city. I had never but once entered within the city walls until the day my mother took me to the gate of the temple. It was a feast day in the city, and my mother, a frugal and industrious woman, thus fulfilled two purposes by her journey. She took me to my destination, and then she departed to enjoy a brief holiday amid the sights and scenes of the city. I was enthralled by the crowds and noises of the streets. I think my nature was always one that strove to yield itself to the great whole of which it was such a small part, and by yielding itself, to draw back into it the sustenance of life. But out of the bustling throng we soon turned. We entered upon a broad, green plain upon the further side of which ran our sacred, beloved river. How plainly I behold that scene still! On the banks of the water I saw the sculptured roofs and glittering ornaments of the temple, and its surrounding buildings shining in the clear morning air. I had no fear, for I had no defined expectations, but I wondered much whether life within those gates was as beautiful a thing as it seems to me it must be. At the gate stood a black-robed novice speaking to a woman from the city, who carried flasks of water, which urgently prayed one of the priests to bless. She would then have to sell a precious burden, a thing paid dearly for by the superstitious populace. I peeped through the gate as we stood waiting for our turn of speech, and beheld a sight that struck me with awe. That awe lasted a long time, even when I had entered into almost holy familiarity with the figure which so impressed me. It was one of the white-robed priests, pacing slowly down the broad avenue towards the gate. I had never seen one of those white-robed priests before, save on a single occasion when I had before visited the city. I then had seen several upon the sacred abode in the midst of a river procession. But now this figure was near me, approaching me. I held my breath. The air was indeed very still, but those stately white garments looked, as the priest moved beneath the shadow of the avenue, as if no earthly breeze could stir them. His step had the same equable character. He moved, but it seemed scarcely as thought he walked in the fashion that other and impetuous mortals walk. His eyes were bent on the ground, so that I could not see them, and indeed I dreaded the raising of those drooping lids. His complexion was fair, and his hair of a dull gold colour. His beard was long and full, but it had the same strangely immovable, almost carven look to my fancy. I could not imagine it blown aside. It seems as though cut in gold and made firm for eternity. The whole man impressed me thus, as a being altogether removed from the ordinary life of man. The novice looked around, his notice attracted probably by my intense gaze, for no sound reached my ears from the priest's footfall. "Ah," he said, "here is the holy priest, Agmad.